Hello, dear students of level 2. This is me, your teacher Mahmoud, and this is your lesson, informal letter. We're talking about formal or official letter. And that's number 1, which we just write it for governmental institutions, for official or formal purposes. But this one, number 2, informal letter, or sometimes we call it personal letter. It is used for personal purposes, not that formal one. So as you see, informal or personal, we send it to persons, friends and relatives for reasons of personal matters. It is quite easy and simple. It is not that complicated. It has only little parts. Let's see them. First of it, your address, your own address. I mean the sender's address. That's what we call it, number 1. Of course, on the top right hand of the paper. But you can't take this line, I mean the line under your address, and go straight in a horizontal to the top left hand of the paper and write the date over there, 17 January 2021. Number 3, yes, you say dear, because the personal letter or informal letter is already sent for somebody that you know, of course, either your friend or your relative. So of course you know their name. By the way, it is only first name, I mean the given name. So you can say just dear and mention his or her name, common. That is it. But before we go to the step 3, let me say that step out the part 1, address and the date sometimes are omitted out. All of them are sometimes not important. So if there is an informal letter or a personal letter and you didn't find any address, neither date, it is not a big deal. Yes, 1 and 2 are not important sometimes, but if you think are important, so number 1, your own address should be here and the date should be there. But sometimes they take even the address out because already there's somebody that you know, maybe a friend or a relative, so they already know your address. You know where did you live and such basic information. So number 3, just dear, mention just the first name, the given name, and come to step 4. This step 4, of course, like in official letter, we call it body. So we have your own address, date, salutation, and body. This body, in case of personal letter or informal letter, usually is short. It's short because the information included is pure personal, friendly. Yeah, that one we find it short, may not be more than 2 or 3 paragraphs, and the language used is informal language. You can use contraction, you can use the slang, you can use any kind of informal language that you are sure that the receiver knows. That is the body. But of course, in body, you have to follow the formal way. There is a space in the first line, the second line with the start. Also, you be guided with the general way, I mean the general methodology of writing. For example, where to put the full stop, question mark, exclamation mark, comma, and such things, full stop at the end. All of them are quite important. But the language is written here, you don't need to use only formal language. Even contraction and the informal language are used. That is the body, which is part 4. Let us come to number 5. The part number 5, when you finish, when the purpose of your letter, you just conclude. And this, we call it subscription. And this subscription, if that body is your relative or intimate friend, you end your letter with love. And then write your name. Or you can say lots of love, and then write your name. But if the receiver is not your relative, neither close friend, I mean the others, in this case you can conclude your letter with best wishes, comma, or all the best, comma. I hope it is clear. This part, we just A and B, or number 1 and 2. For number 5, if the receiver is your close friend or relative, you end your letter with love, comma, then write your name, or lots of love, comma, then write your name. And if others, you just end it, conclude it with best wishes, all the best, and sign your name here. I mean, just the first name, the given name. Even it is not important to print it in full letters, but you can just sign it, because the receiver only knows you and knows everything about you. And number 7 is animation, which is the modern, or I would call it the new method of sending the informal or personal letters. Sometimes you might finish the body, but you forget a very important information. So just when you sign, just below your signature, you write PS. PS is abbreviation for postscript. So this one is not the basic, but is just you forgot some important information there. So you have to add it here. You just write PS dot and write the information you want. For example, P is dot, I found the CD that you told me about. Or when you finish that body and forgot something important at the end, you write PS, and by the way, our friend Mary has got married. That is the basic information you already forget. After your signature, you can add it over there, so you consider it the step of the part number 7. That is all about the informal letter. And in your student book, Spine 5, go to page 20, you find example or samples for this kind of letter between and later, or sent to and later, about 2 or 3. You might find the address or date, or you might not find them, but anyway, this is the general form, the general shape of the informal and personal letter. That's all. So go to page 20 and revise it. Or here we add additional details which are not found there. For example, this one and this one and this one are not available there, but this is a general modern way of writing the informal language. To conclude with, we will go to the last part in our lesson, which we will call rural and urban life. So, rural and urban life is a very interesting topic or passage or history in our Spine book, Spine 5. And here are just 2 topics. One is the life of a mechanic, and in number 2 we see the other passage is about life in a barbaric village. Let's start with number 1. But all 1 and 2 are titled rural and urban life. Let's compare between 1 and 2. Of course, 1 will be rural and number 2 will be urban. And when we say rural life, of course, the life in the countryside, the villages, outside the city. And when we say urban life, of course, we mean the life of the city and towns, which has nothing to do with, which is totally opposite to the countryside life. So, the life of a mechanic, of course, a mechanic is the name of a job. It's a professional work. Somebody who repairs cars, engines, lots of things, works in a garage, we call him a mechanic. So the life of a mechanic, you will find this lesson on page 23. Page 23. Read the passage about the life of a mechanic carefully, then answer the following questions. I have questions in group A, only 3 questions. Answer them clearly when you read that passage carefully about the life of a mechanic. So, on top of every paragraph, we find a question, and of course, all of them are 3 questions. So, answer them, of course, in your exercise book. That about exercise A. But to come to exercise B, which belongs to that topic, that passage of life of a mechanic, here we find about 7 questions. Try to answer them all in your exercise book. So, the life of a mechanic, we have exercise A, 3 questions. Exercise B, 7 questions. Answer them in your exercise book. That is a kind of homework. And those questions, we find them on page 23. That is it all. Let us go to the other topic, which is life in the rural area. Life in a Bagara village. To see life in a Bagara, when we say Bagara, of course, those societies or communities who breed cows, usually in Western Sudan, Kordofan, and Darfur, parts of Darfur, we find people who breed cows, we call them Bagara. And of course, village is well known. It is well known. The village is a place where people in the countryside live. So read that passage, life in a Bagara village, carefully. And I am sure it is easy. That's why I say read it carefully and answer the following questions. Of course, we have A, B, C. But forget about A and answer the exercise B. Only 2 questions. On top of every paragraph, you will find a question. So 2 basic questions. Answer them all about life in Bagara. And come to exercise C, and you will find, of course, 7 questions. Try to answer them in your exercise book. Just you will find these, those questions, exercises on page from 24 to 25 of your student book. And that's all for now. So we don't have homeworks, of course, to do. Be careful to write them all in your exercise book. Here, the first one, A, 3 questions, B, 7 questions. In the lesson 2, the life in a Bagara city, B, 2 questions, and 7, and C, 7 questions. And the pages are clear. Thank you. That's about all.